Hey guys, how we doing? It's Friday, one day away from yard sales, if there's going to be any. And I think the weather's going to be nice today. The weather is nice today and tomorrow. So there's a possibility there may be some good yard sales out. So I will go out on the hunt. A couple of things before I forget, before I talk about the Toro. That I keep forgetting to put in every video. When I was down in Florida, VW Darren hooked me up with a transmission for the 67 that he built for a guy, and they put the wrong tail shaft in it with the wrong shifter fork, and they kept blaming him for being a bad trans. Meanwhile, there were a bunch of idiots putting a bug tail shaft on a bus setup, and they were trying to make it work, and of course it wasn't working, and they blamed it on him. So he ended up replacing the trans, but this is the one that they said that they were having a problem with, which there was nothing wrong with. He had hooked me up with, and pretty soon I'll be tearing this apart on a slow period and get that put in there. But I got to order a paper set for that. If anybody knows a good place to order, any VW guys, to order a gasket set for the swing axle style transmissions, just give me a heads up if you would. A couple of places I use, they really don't have the gasket sets. The only thing they really show is the two outer halves of the for the swing axle, but not all the other parts, the other paper. Guys keep asking about the Porsche motor, the 356 Porsche motor. It is still here. It is still sitting soaking. I haven't done much with it. Once in a while I'll go by and squirt a little something in it and let it just kind of seep down around the jugs. Probably at some point I'll try popping it apart, but it's still sitting here. The biggest issue with this is just that parts are just so damn expensive that it becomes cost prohibitive to put it together. I can't put $4 grand into a motor that the car isn't worth $4 grand, but I would like to put that together, and sometimes when that happens I just take my time and keep looking for different bits and pieces until I find what I need, and then we can assemble that. Most of it being I need pistons and cylinders. Rocker assembly for one head is missing. Then it had the intakes, but it's missing the carbs and the exhaust. I'm not worried about carbs. I'm not worried about exhaust. I can fabricate all that stuff or use carbs off of something else. But again, the jugs and the pistons is probably the most, in-rings is the biggest hurdle at the moment. But that would be awesome to have that in a single cab, to have it like a rat rod. VW, and then to open the engine bay and then see that sitting in there would just be awesome. So I would love to have that still come to fruition. Is that the word? But right now there is a fairly built 1600 in there. I believe it's a 1600 that came out of that red bug, and that motor seems to be good, and it will propel it quite nicely someday. But there is an update on it. There it is. One of the guys wrote about the Razor scooter. He said just leave it plugged in, and actually to discharge it and to let it just go and go and go no matter what the light says. Like now it's saying it's charged. I didn't do that just because I didn't realize that's, I read it after I was already charging it, but we'll see if we get anything out of it now. I'll let the green lights come on. Wants to go. You guys want to go break your neck with me? See what we got. Ooh, this is rough one-handed. Doesn't have any balls. It barely wants to move. So what he has suggested is to just leave it on and let it run down to nothing, and then hook it up and let it leave the power switch on, just let it run down to nothing, and then charge up and just leave it on a charger for a couple of days. So I got nothing to lose. I'll let it go do that and see what happens. I have a feeling the batteries are pooched, but it was free. What we on? The Toro is in the garage. I ended up repairing the broken choke cable, which was just a bent choke cable. What it was, right up there, that guy was twisted in on an angle. This thing right here was twisted over. So I have a feeling the cable's probably frozen in the wintertime. They went and gave a good tug on it, bent the bracket, no longer had a choke, and now they kept starting it with ether. And that was getting old. So I fixed that, shot some tranny fluid down each end of the cable, worked it back and forth. The cable works like butter, rehooked it up. The motor fired right up, started up nice. So I still had the truck set up with the ramps, drove it up to the truck, brought it to the car wash, and then at the car wash put the ramps back out, and I drove it like, you know, the front two tires are up by the tailgate, and just pressure washed the bejesus out of it. Now you could actually see it. Then I brought it home and gave it a once over, and when I turned the mower deck on, this spindle was very noisy, growling away, and this one is somewhat noisy. No good. So having said that, I took the spindles apart, and these are the bearings that were in them. Of course, when they're in your hands, they're not nowhere near as noisy as when they're on the pulley, but nevertheless, they are on their way out. So I went to my local auto parts store and cross-referenced the number, and at $9 a piece, got 4 new bearings to redo the 2 outer spindles. The only difference on these are it doesn't have the open cage on one side, because the spindle has a grease fitting in it, so grease would actually trying to go push its way down in there. These are sealed on both sides, so I'll pump it up with grease to fill up the cavity, but it's not going to get into the bearings. But that should last the lifetime of the mower, as long as somebody doesn't take a pressure washer. That's usually what kills them. People take pressure washers and get in there, and they drive the water right in underneath them, and water and bearings just don't mix. And while I was shopping for bearings, or going to go look for bearings, this is the impeller housing for the vacuum on it that hangs off the side of the mower deck, and this is the other part that he kind of was done with. And you could tell that sucker was getting pretty good, because that actually is all melted plastic right there. It didn't distort the housing, but it sure did get pretty hot, and as you could tell, the bearing kind of blew its kidneys out there. So popped that out of there, and I started looking in my secret stash, and had one of these styles back there, and lo and behold, I cut it out of the cage. It was the same bearing. So I saw in the paperwork that he had went and looked the bearing up. The bearing itself was $56 plus so much shipping, and I think at that point he was just adding everything up. Said, screw it, I'm buying a new tractor, and that's what he did, and called me about this one. And the only other piece I really kind of need to order is this guy right here. It's got a tooth missing out of the belt. This belt is ridiculously large. It's 142 1/4 inches long, and they're for sale on eBay, but they're like $80 plus another $9 or so for shipping. So I went to my auto parts store, they special ordered it, $29, have it in a couple of days, which is fine, because I don't really think this tractor is going to go anywhere anyway, as winter is upon us, and there's not too many people worried about sucking up their grass, unless there is still some leaf duty. But that's the last time I worked on it. It was 9/16/09, and I think it said 377 hours or 337 hours on it. So that's a little over 4 years. And what's it got on it now? 5 something. 5 1/4, 528, something like that. So most people do not service their equipment. Most of the average homeowner, they just run them till they die, and then they say, what what happened? It's 8 years old. The motor blew. Have you ever changed oil? So, it's the exception more than the rule, unfortunately, as far as people maintaining their stuff. And it seems like the people that have more and more money are the ones that take less care of their stuff. They just don't seem to care, especially being a good machine. You would think that, like, this tractor was probably close to $5 grand, $4,800, something like that, with all the accessories that are on it. Not a cheap tractor, and you think you'd throw $100 a year at it to keep it up and running good, but so be it. That's why I got it for what I got it for too, though. So if somebody took care of it, it wouldn't have been sold for that. So got a new oil filter for it, changed oil on it, and I will take this one and detail it, button it up, and get it done. And probably have to park it out back, put a tarp over it till springtime. But it should sell anywhere, I think, between 1,200 and 800, say $1,000 plus or minus in the spring, having that power bagger and everything on it, you know. All right, guys. Again, thanks for watching, commenting, and subscribing. I will catch you guys next video, and hopefully tomorrow's a good yard sale time. But we'll see. Take care.